Hey y'all, and welcome to PolitiBrawl. My name is Brian, and Charlie Kirk doesn't just drop a truth bomb on this uneducated college kid, he completely rocks his world to the point where this kid is going to need to rethink every bit of news he's ever read. Let's dive in.
My question to you is, why are you so hypocritical in the way that you look at Trump and Biden? As far as the economy goes, every time he announces a tariff, economy tanks. We saw that twice in March, and then in the most recent one where he announced like the largest or the most tariff percentage.
Do you mean the stock market or the economy?
Everything in general, just like the way
the stock market's back up to even before the tariff announcement.
Yeah, but that's because he took away the tariffs. He took it away because all of his billionaire buddies, more or less. It's true. Elon Musk isn't really on TV anymore because he's lost trillions in Tesla.
He was just in the cabinet meeting last week wearing multiple hats. Did you see that? He said, "I wear many hats."
Nah, I don't watch the.
Well, then why do you say he's not on
anymore.
TV? You said you know what he's on TV. Don't even. Well, you said he's not on TV anymore. You say you don't watch TV.
I don't. I just see him everywhere. I used to see him everywhere, and then as soon as the tariffs went into effect, he lost trillions in Tesla stock. He stopped showing up. Who was it? Pete Hegseth is a moron.
Hold on. Let's pause at that. Is military recruitment up?
Not sure. Is it?
Yes, it is. Is military morale up?
Not sure.
Are military war games up?
Not sure.
Yes. Is military procurement going in the right direction? Wait, so hold on a second. You call Pete Hegseth a moron, yet more people want to join our military, and they're happier fighting in our military with Pete Hegseth as head of Secretary of Defense. So that's really weird. Why is he a moron exactly?
Well, because
he served in the U.S. military alongside.
Of course, and I appreciate his service.
Is that how you talk to veterans? You call them morons?
No, I don't. And don't say that I do.
That's what. No, but why is he a moron exactly?
Well, because of the two signal chat leaks.
He did not add the reporter into there.
It doesn't matter. Why is he having
Signal's an approved communication platform done by the Biden administration, actually. Do you use Signal? Do you use WhatsApp? Do you use Telegram?
No, I don't.
Oh, you don't? Really? You don't
No.
use any messaging apps?
I just use iMessage.
Okay, that's a messaging app.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's also a secure one as well. But what is the contention here? You said the hypocrisy. So let me now try to get which person is was more capable of talking to the media, Joe Biden or Donald Trump?
Neither. Joe Biden, that's my biggest gripe.
Did you have full faith in Joe Biden's ability to complete sentences?
To a certain extent, I did. And then I didn't. After I realized maybe he is too old to be in office, just like Donald Trump, which he will be the oldest president
age
in
has
office.
nothing to do with it. Brain acuity
now
has
it
a lot.
doesn't. It doesn't now, but when Biden was in office,
No,
it
we
did.
never criticized Biden's age. We criticized his lack of knowing where he is and his dementia.
And then that's my point. You talk about Biden when he was dementiated, like you said.
Yes, and okay, Donald
Whoops.
Trump has done multiple hours of freewheeling press conferences a week. Joe Biden wouldn't talk to the press for weeks on end. So, but you say that the hypocrisy, I'm very interested. What do you mean by that? Because actually, Joe Biden told us the southern border was an impossible problem to solve and needed Congress to solve. The southern border is so secure right now, we have a 99.99% reduction in all border crossings. And
That's just a fear factor. It's
a fact, actually.
Well, because when Trump is saying that he's going to deport every single immigrant, it makes immigrants not want to come in.
Good for Trump. That's amazing. And by the way, don't call them immigrants. They're line cutters and border jumpers. Immigrants are people that wait in line and fill out the forms and come here correctly.
Kid, you aren't in Kansas anymore, all right? You are in a college environment going up against Charlie Kirk, and for you, I'm sorry to say, but that's going to be a recipe for a disaster. And it's not just his fault. I remember how ridiculous I was as a college student, so I'm not going to pass judgment on him. As a matter of fact, I'm going to pity him a little bit because he has not been well served by the education system in general. We have a system that refuses to teach basic logic. We have a system that refuses to get you to ever ask questions. It is designed for you to regurgitate, and just as importantly, to make sure that you're answering the test questions just enough to where you get federal funding because of the way we structured No Child Left Behind. So the education system does not help this poor kid. But he is intelligent enough to go out and seek his own answers. But like I said, he's not in Kansas anymore. He can't bring his Tumblr posts, he can't bring his Reddit posts, and he can't bring in these ridiculous Twitter rants, or even worse, BreadTube, which is the liberal side of YouTube rants, that make absolutely no sense whatsoever and do not use any basic facts whatsoever in their analysis. And I know this kid gets his information from those kinds of sources because he's going down this list and constantly moving the goalposts, by the way, and I'll get to that in a bit. But as he's going down this list, he is also deflecting the entire time, which means he's prepared for something, and he didn't bring out any real concrete information until talking about the $1 trillion loss after the tariffs, which, by the way, Kirk correctly said that they have quite literally regained in that time span. So again, the money you lose in the short term means next to nothing in the long term when it comes to Wall Street and investments. Remember, you sell high, you buy low, you buy the dip, okay? This kid doesn't understand what any of those terms mean because he's only going off of these weird rants that he'll occasionally see when he's scrolling through his feed. All right? This kid doesn't really know much better. That's okay. That's why Charlie Kirk and people like us here at PolitiBrawl and PolitiBrawl News are out here to remind him, hey, if you're looking a little bit harder, you might find some more concrete evidence. Like, for instance, this stuff straight from the White House press corps. In March of this year, the U.S. added 228,000 jobs, nearly 100,000 more than economists predicted, and the fourth highest month for private payroll growth in the past 2 years. In fact, last month's job increase is roughly twice the pace of the previous 2 months. We have been in a sort of malaise under Biden. There's been a brief boom, a longer bust, and then this sort of malaise. Not as bad as Carter, not as bad as Obama, but stuff that was in place mainly because the Trump tax cuts were still in place. So the economy still had some stability. Well, now those tax cuts are coming to an end. So we're starting to see some very interesting potential political battles brewing up, but that's not what's being talked about here. What we're talking about is this kid who essentially doesn't really understand what's going on. And again, he's still a kid. He's probably not older than 21 years old, probably can't legally drink. Although if he's on a college campus, I can guarantee you he's already a fraternity member somewhere. And I only say that half in jest because this dude seems like a cool dude. And again, he is intelligent enough to ask questions, but Charlie Kirk has all the answers and he doesn't like it. Seriously, let's see how bad this kid tries to to move the goalposts and deflect from the problems. His first point is that tariffs caused stocks to tank. The reality is, but now they're back. Okay, the stocks are past where they were before the tariff announcements, and furthermore, they're likely going to keep going up because that's the way the rates are going. And also, I know this kid isn't to be taken too seriously because he says the words billionaire buddies. Whenever you hear someone throw around the term billionaire, you're usually dealing with a low information voter who's smart enough to know that a billionaire having a lot of money is a bit of an issue, not smart enough to realize that that's actually better for the economy, but that's another topic for another day. Then he says that he doesn't really watch TV, which again makes me question where he gets his news. That's why I claim that he's probably getting it from either Tumblr or Reddit or some just person of ill repute on Facebook, Twitter, or YouTube. Because he's not using anything concrete, at least on the mainstream media. They'll take something concrete and run in the opposite direction, but you know that there's something that they at least base it on to begin with. The rest of the sources, they aren't too good at that, so got to be careful out there. There's a lot of liberal misinformation. Then the second point, well, Pete Hegseth's a moron, and he leaked the Signal group chat. Hold on. If Pete Hegseth is a moron, why is recruitment up? Why is morale up? And, by the way, Signal, that was, as Charlie Kirk correctly put it, was sanctioned by the Biden administration as a mostly safe option. It's harder to encrypt. As a matter of fact, it's probably the safest option for a group chat of government officials. And the guy that ended up accidentally bringing on that reporter, he's been moved out of that department entirely. And so, yeah, this kid, if he had bothered to look up anything about this information since the story dropped, he probably would have moved on to something else. Then, his third big point here, okay? Talking about the acumen of Joe Biden versus Donald Trump. I'm sorry. If you want to talk about acumen, and by the way, he quickly deflected over to, oh, well, then it's age. When it comes to mental acumen, we knew there was a problem with Joe Biden going into the 2020 election. It was undeniable after the 2021 fall that Joe Biden had on his bicycle. It was either 21 or 22. It was so comical, by the way, that briefly Google Maps had it listed as Biden Falls. It's funny in hindsight, but at the time, it's kind of a horrific thing to think about, that your president is that infirm. Compare that to Donald Trump, who is constantly going in front of the press, has had no moments where he's frozen up like, Mitch McConnell, and that's a terrifying thought. And then finally, the fourth point, that this kid has finally realized, oh, I have been blocked on every single one of these points. I have been wrong 3 times in a row. Let's try once more. And then he brings up the border, which, by the way, is more secure. Kirk is right, although I don't think it's 99.9, but it is 99% down. Okay? That is a huge reduction from the flow that happened under the Biden administration. And then this kid then says that, oh, well, it's about Trump's rhetoric against immigrants. This is where I lost all faith in this kid at this current time and his ability to seek out the truth. The fact is, if you're using the word just immigrants and not using that key phrase, illegal immigrants, the fact that this kid is not using that word in front of him means that he has been getting news from bad faith actors, people that don't know the truth, or worse, are lying about the truth. This kid has been given bad information. The education system has not helped him. A college degree is not going to help him. It might get him in the direction he needs to go for a job, but it's not giving him the basic educational structure that requires him to ask questions logically, and continue arguments faithfully, and be rhetorically strong enough to defend yourself. This kid is 0 for 3 in that department, and I feel bad, but that's what our education system does. And Charlie Kirk is doing his best to unwork the mess that we keep on putting in our children's minds because for some reason we thought it was a good idea to trust the public education system. Folks, my name is Brian. Hope you enjoyed that segment here on PolitiBrawl. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Catch you on the next one. Until then, y'all have a good one.